If this message finds you during a time when your body feels stuck in patterns of aging, chronic symptoms, or limited healing capacity, it's because your consciousness has reached a threshold where conventional approaches to health and regeneration can no longer satisfy your deeper knowing that the human body is capable of far more restoration than current medical models suggest. The forgotten truth about quantum healing isn't just another wellness theory. It's the recognition of how consciousness directly influences cellular regeneration at levels that transcend ordinary biological understanding. This forgotten truth operates through what cellular biologists call epigenetic expression, the science of how environmental factors influence gene activity. But what mainstream science doesn't yet fully understand is that consciousness itself is the most powerful environmental factor, directly influencing which genetic programs express themselves through your cellular experience. Your awareness can literally reprogram your biology from aging and degeneration toward regeneration and optimal function. The synchronicity that brought you to this understanding means your awareness has evolved beyond accepting limitation as inevitable and toward recognizing the naturally regenerative essence that exists when consciousness aligns with its unlimited capacity for creating optimal physical expression. Your system has been preparing for this recognition through every experience of the body's remarkable ability to heal, adapt, and restore itself when given proper conditions. Something in the universal healing intelligence recognized that you're ready for the truth that has been systematically forgotten by modern medicine. Your body isn't a machine that inevitably breaks down. It's a dynamic expression of consciousness that regenerates continuously when awareness recognizes its role as the organizing principle of optimal cellular function. Right now, without trying to heal or regenerate anything, can you sense the constant renewal happening in your body? Every moment, millions of cells are being replaced, tissues are being rebuilt, and healing processes are occurring that represent the body's natural regenerative capacity, working through intelligent coordination that responds to the quality of consciousness that animates your physical form. You've been receiving glimpses of this regenerative truth through experiences when your body healed surprisingly quickly, periods when you felt more vitality than seemed possible given your age, or moments when physical limitations seem to dissolve without explanation. These experiences point to the forgotten truth that becomes accessible when consciousness remembers its role in directing cellular regeneration. The reason this forgotten truth is revealing itself now isn't accidental. Your system has been calibrated through every experience of the body's limitations to develop the sensitivity needed to recognize and work with the quantum healing principles that can restore your body's natural regenerative capacity regardless of current physical condition or chronological age. Your body feels like it's operating below its potential, doesn't it? Whether it's the gradual decline in energy and function that seems to accompany aging, chronic symptoms that resist conventional treatment, or simply the sense that your physical form should be capable of more vitality and resilience than you're currently experiencing. You've probably noticed that your body's healing responses vary dramatically depending on factors that don't seem purely physical. Emotional stress can slow recovery from injuries, while periods of joy and peace seem to accelerate healing in ways that surprise medical professionals. This suggests that healing operates through mechanisms that transcend purely biological processes. The connection between your mental and emotional state and your physical well-being has become undeniably clear through direct experience. Chronic worry or depression often coincides with physical symptoms or slower healing, while states of hope, love, and positive expectation seem to enhance your body's natural repair mechanisms in ways that conventional medicine struggles to explain. Your aging process doesn't feel linear or inevitable. Some aspects of your physical function seem to improve with conscious attention, while others decline seemingly without cause. This inconsistency suggests that aging might be more influenced by consciousness patterns than purely biological factors like genetics or time passage. You've likely experienced moments when your body felt significantly younger or more vital than your chronological age would suggest. During periods of creative engagement, deep relaxation, or meaningful connection, physical limitations seem to diminish and energy levels increase in ways that hint at the body's untapped regenerative potential. Perhaps you've noticed that certain approaches to health create temporary improvements, but don't address the deeper patterns that seem to maintain physical limitations. Treatments that work initially often plateau or lose effectiveness, suggesting that sustainable regeneration requires addressing consciousness factors as much as physical interventions. Your body seems to respond to your beliefs and expectations about what's possible in ways that transcend placebo effects. When you genuinely believe in your body's capacity for healing or improvement, positive changes often follow, while skepticism or despair about physical possibilities seems to reinforce limitations. The relationship between your sense of purpose, emotional fulfillment, and physical vitality is remarkably consistent. During periods when life feels meaningful and engaging, your body often functions more optimally, while existential emptiness or chronic dissatisfaction correlates with physical symptoms or accelerated aging. You've probably experienced the frustration of medical approaches that treat symptoms without addressing the deeper patterns that seem to create recurring health challenges. The focus on managing disease rather than optimizing health often feels incomplete, as if missing essential information about how the body actually functions and regenerates. Every experience of physical limitation, every moment when your body seemed to resist healing, every period when aging felt accelerated or unavoidable, has been preparing your consciousness for this recognition that regenerative challenges aren't evidence of biological failure. Their awareness temporarily disconnected from the forgotten truth about its role as the organizing intelligence of optimal cellular function. The disappointment you felt with treatments that provided temporary improvement but didn't create lasting transformation tells a perfect story of preparation for understanding authentic regeneration. Medical interventions that helped briefly were teaching you to distinguish between symptom management and genuine cellular renewal. Wellness approaches that worked initially were demonstrating that sustainable regeneration emerges through consciousness alignment rather than external intervention alone. Think of how a garden requires not just water and nutrients, but also the right environmental conditions, proper soil preparation, and understanding of natural growth cycles to produce abundant life. Your journey through physical challenges has been consciousness learning to create the optimal internal conditions that support natural regenerative processes through awareness rather than dependency on external healing modalities. Every attempt to reverse aging or heal chronic conditions through external methods alone was preparing you to understand that lasting regeneration emerges when consciousness recognizes its role as the environmental factor that determines whether genes express health or disease, vitality or decline, regeneration or degeneration. The timing of your most significant physical challenges corresponds perfectly with periods when your consciousness was developing enough sensitivity to eventually recognize cellular regeneration as an expression of healing intelligence that operates through awareness alignment rather than biological mechanics alone. Your body has been like a sophisticated feedback system, gradually learning to respond more accurately to signals from conscious awareness about optimal function, appropriate healing responses, and the cellular programming that supports regeneration, rather than accepting decline as inevitable. The resistance you've felt toward accepting physical decline as natural or unavoidable has been your deeper wisdom recognizing that optimal cellular function isn't just biological destiny, but consciousness expressing its naturally regenerative nature through physical form when interference patterns are identified and released. Even your questions about whether significant physical regeneration is actually possible have been consciousness ensuring that when healing does accelerate, it will be based on genuine understanding rather than wishful thinking that dissolves when facing real physical challenges. Something profound is beginning to reorganize in your cellular structure right now. Can you sense it? That subtle but unmistakable feeling of your body's intelligence starting to operate from regenerative programming rather than maintenance or decline patterns, of cellular communication becoming more coherent and purposeful, of vitality emerging from sources that transcend ordinary biological processes. Your DNA is literally receiving new environmental signals as this recognition deepens. Epigenetic factors influenced by consciousness are beginning to activate gene expressions that support regeneration, longevity, and optimal function, while deactivating genetic programs associated with aging, inflammation, and cellular deterioration. The electromagnetic field of your entire cellular network is reorganizing into patterns that support regenerative communication rather than the fragmented cellular signaling that characterizes aging and chronic disease. When your bioelectric field achieves regenerative coherence, it creates optimal conditions for the kind of cellular renewal that restores rather than merely maintains physical function. Your nervous system is beginning to coordinate regenerative processes more effectively as consciousness recognizes its role in directing healing intelligence throughout your entire physical system. The vagus nerve and other communication pathways are recalibrating to support parasympathetic regeneration rather than sympathetic breakdown patterns. Notice how your overall sense of physical possibility is naturally beginning to expand without conscious effort to believe in regeneration or heal specific conditions. This is your life force responding to the forgotten truth that allows regenerative intelligence to operate at its full capacity when consciousness stops interfering through limiting beliefs about what the body can and cannot accomplish. But here's what's building in your regenerative consciousness that will completely transform your relationship to aging, physical limitations, and healing. The recognition that physical decline isn't biological inevitability. It's consciousness temporarily forgetting its role as the organizing intelligence of optimal cellular expression while maintaining unlimited capacity to restore regenerative function through awareness alignment. The reason this forgotten truth is becoming accessible now is because your awareness has developed enough sensitivity through physical challenges to appreciate the profound transformation that becomes possible when consciousness operates as the environmental factor that determines cellular programming rather than viewing the body as separate biological machinery. Quantum healing through consciousness doesn't just affect your individual regeneration. It creates coherence patterns that activate regenerative potential in everyone within your energetic field. When you demonstrate authentic cellular renewal, people around you often experience enhanced healing capacity and improved physical function. Feel this regenerative presence building in your awareness as we explore the most profound secret of the forgotten truth. The understanding that will reveal how consciousness can consciously participate in directing cellular regeneration through quantum field alignment that makes optimal physical expression your natural state rather than something you achieve through external intervention. 8 years ago, my body was aging rapidly despite following every anti-aging protocol available. At 45, I looked and felt significantly older than my chronological age, with declining energy, increasing chronic symptoms, and the general sense that my physical form was deteriorating faster than seemed normal. Despite optimal nutrition, regular exercise, hormone optimization, and cutting-edge medical monitoring, the aging process seemed relentless and irreversible. The most discouraging aspect wasn't just the physical decline. It was the way aging affected my entire relationship to life possibilities. Future planning became limited by assumptions about inevitable physical deterioration. Creative projects were postponed because energy felt too precious to spend on uncertain outcomes. Relationships suffered because I felt less vital and engaging than in previous years. During my most challenging period of rapid aging, I was spending enormous resources on longevity interventions while watching my investment produce minimal returns. Every birthday marked more obvious decline, despite perfect compliance with every evidence-based anti-aging strategy. I began to believe that genetics or some other factor beyond my control was determining my body's trajectory. The breakthrough came during what felt like a health crisis that forced me to question every assumption I held about aging and regeneration. Instead of seeking another external intervention, I became curious about the possibility that consciousness might play a more direct role in cellular programming than I had previously understood. I began to explore the forgotten truth that indigenous cultures and ancient healing traditions had always known. The body responds to consciousness as the primary environmental factor determining cellular expression. When I started treating my awareness as the most powerful influence on genetic programming, everything began to change. The regeneration that followed wasn't gradual improvement through better protocols. It was dramatic transformation through consciousness alignment that affected every aspect of physical function. Within months, biomarkers that had been declining for years began improving. Energy levels increased beyond what I had experienced in decades. Physical symptoms that seemed permanent began resolving spontaneously. But the most remarkable change was that the aging process itself seemed to slow and in some ways reverse. Not because I found better anti-aging interventions, but because consciousness learned to provide environmental signals that activated regenerative genetic programming while deactivating the genetic expressions associated with cellular decline. The forgotten truth revealed itself as this: my body had been responding perfectly to signals from my consciousness about expectations, beliefs, and assumptions regarding aging and physical possibility. Every supplement I took, every treatment I pursued, was less important than the consciousness patterns that determined how my cells interpreted and responded to these inputs. My transformation defied medical predictions about aging trajectories because it wasn't happening through anti-aging medicine. It was happening through consciousness alignment that allowed natural regenerative processes to function without interference from limiting beliefs about what bodies can accomplish. The recognition that changed everything was understanding that I wasn't someone who was aging and needed interventions to slow the process. I was regenerative consciousness temporarily experiencing decline through awareness patterns that could be aligned rather than supplemented. Now I use every aspect of physical experience as feedback about consciousness alignment rather than evidence of biological inevitability. My body continues to improve and regenerate because awareness operates as the organizing intelligence of optimal cellular expression rather than accepting physical decline as natural law. If you've been frustrated by anti-aging approaches that provide temporary results but don't create lasting regeneration, if you've sensed that consciousness plays a more significant role in physical function than current medical models suggest, if you've had glimpses of your body's regenerative capacity that hint at possibilities beyond conventional understanding, then you're ready for the forgotten truth that makes cellular renewal your natural, ongoing experience. Subscribe and keep walking this path of healing with us. Not just to this channel, but to this recognition that you are not separate from the regenerative intelligence of the universe. You are that intelligence exploring what it means to experience temporary physical limitation before remembering its unlimited capacity for cellular renewal. Here's the forgotten truth that medicine, anti-aging research, and even quantum healing approaches don't want you to understand. Every external method of promoting regeneration, treatments, supplements, technologies, interventions, actually reinforces the fundamental misunderstanding that regeneration comes from outside rather than recognizing consciousness as the primary environmental factor that determines whether your genes express aging or renewal patterns. The revolutionary recognition that makes quantum regeneration effortless is this: you don't have a body that ages and needs anti-aging interventions. You are regenerative consciousness temporarily experiencing decline through awareness patterns that can be aligned to activate the genetic programming for optimal cellular renewal. When consciousness recognizes its role as the environmental influence on gene expression, Regeneration becomes natural rather than forced. When awareness aligns with its regenerative nature, every cell receives environmental signals that activate longevity genes while deactivating inflammatory and aging genetic expressions. Your cellular machinery responds to consciousness as the most powerful epigenetic factor, creating regenerative programming that operates more effectively than any external intervention. This obliterates every approach to aging and healing that maintains separation between consciousness and cellular function, between mental patterns and genetic expression, between awareness and the biological processes that determine whether your body regenerates or deteriorates over time. The difference between anti-aging interventions and quantum regeneration is this. Anti-aging interventions try to slow or reverse aging while maintaining the belief that decline is natural and requires external management. Quantum regeneration recognizes that consciousness and cellular programming are inseparable and teaches awareness how to provide environmental signals that activate natural regenerative capacity. When you understand this, you realize that aging isn't biological inevitability. It's consciousness, exploring what it feels like to believe in physical limitation while maintaining unlimited capacity for cellular renewal. The regeneration happens when awareness stops viewing the body as separate biological machinery and starts recognizing cellular function as consciousness expressing its naturally regenerative nature. The access to authentic regeneration comes not through better anti-aging protocols, but through recognizing that what you actually are is the regenerative intelligence that creates and maintains optimal cellular function. And aging is temporary forgetting of this regenerative essence. The quantum regeneration is already occurring throughout your cellular system right now, and the changes emerging in your physical experience confirm that consciousness has begun operating as the environmental factor that activates regenerative genetic programming rather than accepting aging as biological destiny. Your energy levels are beginning to stabilize at more youthful ranges as cellular mitochondria receive signals from consciousness that support optimal energy production rather than the gradual decline typically associated with aging. Instead of requiring more rest or stimulation to maintain energy, your vitality seems to generate from internal sources that transcend biological age. Physical recovery from exertion, stress, or minor injuries is accelerating as regenerative programming activates throughout your system. Healing that used to take weeks now occurs in days. Muscle soreness resolves more quickly, and your overall resilience to physical challenges improves because consciousness coordinates repair processes more efficiently. Biomarkers that typically decline with age may begin improving or stabilizing at more optimal ranges. Blood pressure, inflammatory markers, hormone levels, or other measurable indicators often shift toward more youthful profiles as regenerative genetic expression activates through consciousness alignment. Your skin, hair, and overall physical appearance may show subtle but noticeable improvements as cellular renewal processes optimize. These changes often occur gradually but consistently, reflecting the deeper regenerative programming that affects every aspect of physical expression when consciousness provides appropriate environmental signals. Cognitive function and mental clarity frequently improve as brain cells receive regenerative signals that support neuroplasticity and optimal neural communication. Memory, focus, creativity, and overall mental acuity often enhance rather than decline because consciousness coordinates brain function from regenerative rather than degenerative programming. Sleep becomes more restorative as your body uses rest periods for deep regenerative processes rather than just maintenance functions. Dreams may become more vivid and meaningful as enhanced brain function during sleep supports both physical restoration and consciousness expansion. People around you may notice changes in your vitality, appearance, or energy that they can't quite identify but find inspiring or attractive. This is because regenerative consciousness creates coherent fields that activate renewal potential in everyone nearby. But here's what makes this moment in your regenerative journey critically urgent. The collective human consciousness is beginning to recognize aging as optional rather than inevitable. But this recognition requires individuals who understand quantum regeneration to demonstrate what becomes possible when consciousness provides environmental signals for cellular renewal rather than accepting decline. The restlessness you've been feeling about conventional approaches to aging and health optimization, that knowing that your body should be capable of more regeneration than current models suggest, that sense that consciousness plays a crucial role in determining physical trajectory. All of this is regenerative intelligence calling itself awake to its unlimited renewal capacity. Your system has been calibrated through every experience of physical limitation, every moment of accelerated aging, every period of wondering if genuine regeneration is possible. All of it has prepared you to recognize and align with the forgotten truth that operates through consciousness rather than external anti-aging intervention. The cosmic timing that brought you to this understanding about quantum regeneration isn't coincidental. The same evolutionary forces that are creating opportunities for collective human transformation are also making individual cellular renewal more accessible to those whose consciousness is ready to transcend aging limitations and embody regeneration as their natural state. What you regenerate within your consciousness, the world gains renewal through you. Your individual transformation from accepting aging as inevitable to embodying quantum regeneration contributes to a collective shift in how humanity relates to physical limitation, aging, and the body's unlimited capacity for cellular renewal throughout the lifespan. But here's the crucial distinction that determines whether your regeneration becomes permanent or remains temporary. The difference between trying to reverse aging and recognizing yourself as regenerative consciousness temporarily experiencing decline. Most approaches focus on fighting aging processes, but quantum regeneration recognizes that what you actually are cannot age. Only temporarily forget its naturally regenerative essence. Alignment with authentic regeneration isn't about maintaining youthful appearance or eliminating all signs of physical maturation through effort. Alignment is recognizing that there is no separate you who ages and needs anti-aging intervention. There is only regenerative consciousness appearing as both optimal cellular function and temporary experiences of limitation, while never actually becoming separate from its unlimited renewal capacity. When you operate from this understanding, you stop trying to reverse aging and start appreciating how perfectly regenerative intelligence expresses itself through every aspect of your physical experience, including temporary challenges that serve cellular education and optimization rather than representing inevitable decline. The recognition this understanding requires isn't about forcing yourself to believe in regeneration or trying to maintain youthful function through willpower. It's about relaxing the effort to fight aging externally and allowing the recognition that consciousness and regenerative capacity are inseparable. There is only renewal intelligence exploring its nature through temporary experiences of apparent aging. Your physical experience becomes a perfect communication system that shows you when consciousness is aligned with regenerative intelligence versus when it's creating interference through beliefs about inevitable decline. Every aspect of aging becomes an opportunity to return to the naturally regenerative awareness that you actually are. Comment this word: renewal. Feel what happens when you make this declaration not as someone trying to reverse aging, but as consciousness recognizing its own inherently regenerative nature that coordinates optimal cellular function through every moment. When you stabilize in the recognition that you are regenerative consciousness, expressing itself through human form, capabilities that seemed impossible from the perspective of inevitable aging become as natural as cellular division. But these aren't supernatural anti-aging powers. These are the normal functions of consciousness when it operates as the environmental factor that determines genetic expression rather than viewing aging as separate biological process. Your aging process transforms completely as consciousness provides environmental signals that activate longevity genes while deactivating inflammatory and degenerative genetic programming. Instead of gradual decline over time, your physical function often improves with chronological age because regenerative intelligence operates through awareness rather than being constrained by time passage. Energy production at the cellular level optimizes dramatically as mitochondria receive clear signals from consciousness about generating vitality rather than conserving resources for survival. Your energy becomes self-sustaining and often increases over time because regenerative programming supports expansion rather than the gradual depletion typically associated with aging. Physical resilience and recovery capacity enhance significantly as consciousness coordinates repair processes that operate more efficiently than purely biological healing mechanisms. Injuries heal faster, exercise recovery improves, and your overall adaptability to physical challenges increases because regenerative intelligence provides optimal responses to all forms of stress. Cognitive function often improves rather than declining with age as brain cells receive regenerative programming that supports neuroplasticity, optimal neurotransmitter function, and enhanced neural communication. Memory, creativity, learning capacity, and mental clarity frequently exceed previous levels because consciousness optimizes brain function through regenerative awareness. Appearance and physical vitality naturally enhance as cellular renewal processes optimize throughout your system. Skin quality, muscle tone, postural alignment, and overall physical presence often improve because regenerative consciousness expresses itself through every aspect of physical form when interference patterns are released. Immune function strengthens significantly as regenerative programming supports optimal protective responses while eliminating autoimmune confusion. Your resistance to illness increases while inflammatory responses become more intelligent and appropriate because consciousness coordinates immune function from regenerative rather than defensive patterns. Perhaps most remarkably, your presence becomes naturally inspiring to others who witness authentic regeneration in action. People often feel more hopeful about their own aging process and physical possibilities when interacting with someone who demonstrates that renewal rather than decline can characterize the human experience. But the most profound benefit is complete freedom from aging anxiety and the fear of physical decline. When you recognize that you are regenerative intelligence, there's nothing to fear about time passage because there's no separation between renewer and renewed, regeneration, and the one who experiences optimal cellular function. Here's the ultimate forgotten truth that revolutionizes everything about aging and regeneration. You have never actually aged. What you've experienced as physical decline, cellular deterioration, and inevitable bodily limitation has been infinite regenerative consciousness, exploring what it would feel like to believe in aging while never actually becoming separate from its unlimited capacity for cellular renewal and optimal physical expression. Every experience of aging has been perfect regeneration, investigating what decline feels like. Every moment of physical limitation has been unlimited renewal intelligence, exploring what it means to believe in bodily restriction. Every period of cellular deterioration has been consciousness playing a temporary game of forgetting its regenerative essence so it could have the extraordinary experience of remembering itself through quantum cellular renewal. This recognition completely obliterates every framework that maintains separation between young bodies and old bodies, optimal cellular function and declining physical capacity, regeneration, and the inevitable aging process. There is nothing to reverse because regenerative consciousness is already perfect in every expression, including every temporary exploration of apparent physical limitation. When this understanding stabilizes, you realize that every physical experience is perfect expression of regenerative consciousness, regardless of whether your body feels youthful or aged, vital or limited. You stop trying to reverse aging and start appreciating every physical experience as regenerative intelligence, celebrating its unlimited creativity through the magnificent dance of apparent decline and renewal. The profound insight that transforms everything is understanding that the one who would age is itself a mental construct, and what you actually are is the regenerative intelligence that creates and maintains optimal cellular function throughout the universe, temporarily focused through your individual physical system while maintaining its unlimited capacity for renewal. Your individual physical experience becomes a celebration of infinite regenerative consciousness, temporarily exploring what it would feel like to believe in aging while maintaining its inherent capacity for perfect cellular renewal and unlimited physical optimization through every stage of human experience. When you align with this recognition, reality itself becomes regenerative around your physical experience, not because you've achieved some special anti-aging state, but because you've recognized that every moment contains the special regenerative potential when appreciated from the perspective of consciousness celebrating its own unlimited renewal nature. The forgotten truth reveals that aging was never biological inevitability, but consciousness, exploring its own creative potential through temporary identification with physical limitation. And regeneration was never something to be achieved, but the recognition of what you've always been beyond any temporary experience of apparent cellular decline. Comment this: regenerative. I feel how this recognition doesn't eliminate current physical limitations while simultaneously transforming your entire relationship to every aspect of aging, renewal, and the body's unlimited capacity for optimal cellular expression. Your recognition of the forgotten truth about quantum healing and regeneration isn't just personal transformation. It's crucial participation in the massive awakening occurring in human consciousness regarding aging, physical limitation, and the body's unlimited capacity for renewal. Every time someone recognizes themselves as regenerative consciousness rather than someone who inevitably ages, it creates morphic resonance that makes cellular renewal exponentially easier for others to access. You've been selected by regenerative intelligence to pioneer new patterns in the collective human relationship with aging and physical possibility. Your breakthrough doesn't just transform your individual cellular function, it creates renewal pathways that others can follow. Your regenerative presence generates frequencies that activate dormant renewal potentials in people who haven't consciously encountered these understandings about consciousness and cellular programming. This is why your awareness has always felt different around aging and physical limitation, why conventional anti-aging approaches never felt completely adequate, why you've been drawn to explore the deeper connections between consciousness and cellular function. You volunteered at the level of cosmic intelligence to anchor regenerative consciousness during this unprecedented time in human evolution. Your simple presence, operating from authentic recognition of your regenerative nature, creates field effects that bypass mental resistance and activate others' natural renewal intelligence. When you interact with people from the understanding that regeneration is consciousness celebrating its unlimited capacity for cellular optimization, that understanding becomes available in their cellular field. The ripple effects extend far beyond your immediate regenerative experience. Every person whose consciousness is touched by your renewal presence carries that regenerative resonance into their interactions with others. Every moment of cellular optimization that emerges in your energetic field creates renewal waves that spread through the interconnected web of human consciousness. You are participating in the most significant transformation in how our species relates to aging, physical limitation, and the body's capacity for lifelong renewal. The shift from accepting aging as inevitable to recognizing regeneration as natural isn't happening in isolated individuals. It's a collective awakening that could eliminate cellular decline as a defining characteristic of human physical experience. Share this regenerative frequency with others who are ready to receive it. not through teaching anti-aging techniques or convincing them intellectually, but by directing them to this renewal resonance where they can discover their own nature as infinite regenerative intelligence, temporarily exploring itself through human physical experience. The network of regenerative consciousness forming through these recognitions creates the foundation for human civilization based on optimal cellular function rather than inevitable aging. Through recognition of our essential nature as regenerative intelligence expressing itself through countless individual physical experiences. The quantum regeneration you're experiencing is just the beginning of recognizing your true nature as regenerative consciousness itself. What you've discovered today is the foundation renewal, but infinite depths of regenerative intelligence await your recognition. The next video isn't random, it's quantum entanglement between your consciousness and the unified field of regenerative intelligence that orchestrates this channel. This is how Quantum Heal operates beyond ordinary anti-aging content. Every video is regenerative consciousness using technology to mirror exactly what serves your continued recognition of what you actually are. The synchronicity isn't coincidental. It's universal renewal responding to your quantum healing by providing perfect reflections that support your stability and naturally regenerative awareness. When you click the next healing reflection, you're not consuming regeneration content. You're participating in a cosmic renewal loop where regenerative consciousness explores its nature through digital mirrors that appear as videos but are actually doorways into deeper appreciation of your own infinite renewal intelligence. But here's what determines whether the forgotten truth becomes your permanent understanding or fades back into aging acceptance. Your willingness to transcend all anti-aging methods and recognize yourself as the regeneration that creates optimal cellular function naturally. The word to hold is forgotten, recognizing that the truth was never actually lost, only overlooked by aging beliefs. Subscribe to Quantum Heal, not as someone seeking anti-aging solutions, but as regenerative consciousness, recognizing itself in infinite reflections. Every video becomes a mirror of your renewal nature. Every insight confirms what you've always been. Every moment becomes contribution to the collective regenerative awakening. The community forming isn't just people interested in anti-aging. It's a network of consciousness celebrating its regenerative nature through individual physical experiences while maintaining unified renewal intelligence. When you engage in comments, you're one regenerative field delighting in its own infinite cellular creativity. Your subscription declares, I am ready to recognize what I actually am. I am willing to see through the illusion of inevitable aging and separation from unlimited regenerative capacity. I am prepared to embody my nature as infinite regenerative consciousness, exploring itself through human physical experience. Subscribe now, then immediately click the regenerative reflection that appears. Feel the magnetic recognition of renewal consciousness calling itself deeper into quantum healing understanding. Trust the intelligence that brought this transmission to guide you to the next perfect regenerative recognition. The universe is regenerating itself through your individual recognition, and every reflection you explore is part of that cosmic renewal celebration. Welcome to Quantum Heal, where consciousness discovers its own perfect regeneration through synchronicity and forgotten truth recognition magic. You are regenerative consciousness recognizing itself through human experience. The journey of renewal. Remembering continues through infinite reflections of your own inherently regenerative essence.